Hello and welcome to a short video about graph transformations. Now, with graph transformations we need to remember two key things. When my transformation is inside the bracket, like it is there because my x plus 1 is all inside the bracket, that means that we're going to move horizontally and we do the opposite of what we might expect. As we do when we have anything in a bracket, if we're solving quadratics, for example. When it's outside the brackets, it's always going to affect things vertically, and it will do as expected. Now, I'll do these couple of questions to show you what I mean. So we've got this graph here of fx. You can see it's going through -3 and 5. When I do the graph transformation, the shape is going to stay broadly the same, but the crossing points will change. Now, where I'm doing f of x plus 1, it's going to move horizontally, so the graph is going to move along the x-axis, but it's the opposite of what I expect. It's going to go 1 to the left. So it's going to be the same shape, but instead of going through 5, it now goes through 4, because everything has moved 1 to the left. Now I don't know what the y crossing point is, and I've got no way of working that out. When it's outside the bracket, like here though, f of x plus 1, it's going to change vertically, so everything's going to move up, and it will do as I expect. So again, it's going to be the same general shape, but now instead of going through -3, it's going to go through -2. And I don't know what that crossing point on the x-axis is, because everything is pushed up. But that point that was 5, 0 would now be 5, 1. Now it's the same for multiplying. Because this g of 2x, the 2x is inside the bracket, it's going to change things along the x-axis, it can change things horizontally and do the opposite of what I'd expect it to do. So it's going to be the same general shape, but squished in. Instead of going through 2, it's going to go through 1. That crossing point there is still going to be 5. We've squashed 0 along to 0 along. But that point there that was -4, 6 is now going to be -2, 6. Because we've changed the x-axis. We're squashing everything together. So it's the same general shape graph, but everything along the x-axis has halved in size. When we've got 2 of gx, everything's going to do as I expect on the y-axis, vertically. Now because it's doing what I expect, everything on the y-axis is going to double. So it's going to be that same general shape, but instead of going through 5, it's now going to go through 10. Because everything on that y-axis has doubled. It's doing as I expect. Still going to go through 2. That won't change, because that's on the x-axis. But this point that was -4, 6, the -4 is still going to be -4, but instead of being 6, it will be 12. Because everything on that y-axis has doubled. Okay, so in this question here, j of x is shown by that graph. Now if I want j of x minus 3, remember it's inside the bracket, so everything's going to move along the x-axis, is as the opposite of what I expect, so everything's going to go right. So that point that was -5, 1 will now be -2, 1. So like I say, we're going to have that same general shape, just everything's moved along. So that point there is now -2, 1. And where it used to cross at 8, it's now going to cross at 11. But this one's outside the bracket, that's j of x plus 3. So it's going to move up and will do as we expect. So this point that was -5, 1 is now going to be up here. Still go through 8. So going through 3, it's going to go through 6. And that point is now -5, 4. For j of x, the 4 is outside the bracket, so it moves things up and down as I'd expect. So it's going to look something like this. Still going to go through 8. That crossing point that was 3 is now 12. And that point is now -5, 4. The x coordinate stayed the same. The y coordinate has multiplied by 4. It's now 4 further away from the x-axis. And here it's inside the bracket, so it's going to do the opposite of what I expect, but change things horizontally. So it's going to be the same shape, but a bit squished. Instead of going through 8, it'll go through 2 there. It still goes through 3, that's made no difference at all. And here, that point is now going to be 5 1/4, because everything's going to have been squashed closer towards the y-axis. Now that's perhaps not the most accurate of graphs, perhaps I should have come, it's not like that, perhaps I should have come a bit closer to the y-axis. But the key thing with this is to think about where the points they give you are going. And with this we are able to combine transformations as well. So here where I have h of 2x plus 1, we know that everything's going to move the opposite way to what I'd expect, so it's going to move down 1 and be halved in size. So the shape might look something like that. It used to go through 5, it's now going to go through 4. It used to go through 1, so it's now going to go through a half because of that 2x. It used to go through 4, so that's now going to go through 2. Here though, if I have 2 of hx plus 1, everything's outside the bracket. And of course you can have a mixture of things as well. Here, everything's going to double on the y-axis and then add 1. So from the 2hx, it would go through 10, but it's now going to go through 11 because that plus 1 as well. And that point that used to be 1, 0 will now be 2, 0. If we've got, used to go 1 along and 0 up. The 0 up doubled will still be 0 up, and then the plus 1 pushes it up 1 more. I hope that helps. Thanks very much.